Have you ever wondered what a moment looks like? Right before life changes forever? Not an explosion, not a disaster. Just an ordinary summer evening where everything feels so familiar that nobody even thinks to look for danger. On July 26, 1976, a hot summer evening settled over the small town of Chowchilla, California. A school bus slowly rolled down a dusty road, taking children home after a day trip to the swimming pool. The bus was loud and full of energy. Some kids were laughing, some arguing, others half asleep after spending the entire day under the sun. It looked like a completely normal day. And that's exactly why nobody paid attention to the white van ahead. Within minutes, this ordinary afternoon would turn into one of the most infamous mass kidnappings in American history. But the most terrifying part wasn't the kidnapping itself. It was the fact that the kidnappers had already prepared a place underground for the children. And while all of America searched for the missing bus, 26 children and their driver would end up buried alive inside a hidden underground trailer. No communication, barely any air, and no idea whether they would ever get out. This is the Chowchilla Kidnapping, a real story that still sounds more like a psychological thriller than something that actually happened. Back in the 1970s, Chowchilla was a quiet farming town where everybody knew each other. Children played outside freely, and many families rarely even locked their doors. Places like this felt safe. That's part of why what happened shocked the entire country. That afternoon, 55-year-old bus driver Ed Ray was finishing his route. People in town trusted him. He had spent years driving local children safely to and from school activities. After the pool trip, he was taking the kids home one stop at a time. There were 26 children on the bus, ranging from 5 to 14 years old. Many were exhausted. Some were nearly asleep in their seats. At around 4 p.m., Ed turned onto Avenue 2112, a quiet rural road. That's when he saw the van. It was blocking the road completely. At first, Ed assumed the driver needed help. But seconds later, 3 masked men stepped out. They wore women's stockings over their faces, and they were carrying guns. At that moment, everything changed. Later, Ed Ray would recall that one of the men pointed a shotgun directly at him and ordered him to open the bus doors. At first, some of the children didn't even understand what was happening. A few thought it was some kind of prank. Others laughed nervously. But the mood shifted quickly. The men spoke calmly and confidently. It was obvious they had prepared for this. They ordered every child off the bus. And then things became even stranger. Because the kidnappers didn't try to rob anyone. They didn't demand money immediately. They didn't target just one child. They were taking all of them. The kidnappers hid the school bus inside a dry creek bed nearby and covered it with branches and bamboo so it couldn't easily be seen from the road. Then they forced the children into 2 vans. Inside, it was cramped and suffocating. The windows had been painted over so nobody could see outside. Later, investigators discovered the vans had even been soundproofed. That meant the kidnappers had carefully planned how to hide the noise and panic. And this is where the story becomes truly disturbing. Because the drive didn't last 1 hour or 2. The children were transported around for nearly 11 hours. 11 hours. Years later, several children said they tried counting turns in the road to figure out where they were. Eventually, they lost all sense of direction. Meanwhile, panic was spreading across Chowchilla. The bus never returned. Parents waited for their children at home, but the hours kept passing with no news. At first, many assumed the bus had broken down somewhere. But when nobody could locate it, fear quickly took over. For a small town, the disappearance of an entire school bus was almost unimaginable. Police launched a massive search almost immediately. Soon, the FBI became involved too. But nobody yet understood how carefully the entire operation had been planned. Late that night, the vans finally stopped near an abandoned rock quarry outside Livermore, California. What waited there would later shock even experienced investigators. Buried underground was a large moving trailer, not just a container. A full-size trailer hidden beneath the earth. Inside were mattresses, small amounts of food, water, ventilation pipes, and a makeshift bathroom. There was only one conclusion. The kidnappers had spent a long time preparing this crime. As the children were forced inside, many assumed they were only being hidden temporarily. Then the hatch slammed shut, and dirt began falling from above. That's when they realized something horrifying. They were being left underground. Later, Ed Ray admitted that was the first moment he truly became afraid, because nobody knew whether anyone would ever find them. Imagine the atmosphere inside. Complete darkness, heavy air, the smell of dirt and metal. 26 children and 1 adult trapped underground in a confined space. Some of the children were only 5 years old. They cried, called for their parents, and asked when they would be allowed to leave. But no answers came, and the worst part was that time kept passing. The air became harder to breathe. The trailer grew hotter and more uncomfortable, and above them, nobody even knew where to search. The kidnappers' plan seemed simple. They intended to demand a ransom of $5 million. At the time, that was an enormous amount of money. The mastermind was 24-year-old Fred Woods, the son of a wealthy businessman. Together with his friends Richard Schoenfeld and James Schoenfeld, he believed he could pull off the perfect crime. Investigators would later learn that the kidnappers had been influenced by movies and high-profile ransom cases. They genuinely believed they could get away with it, but almost immediately everything started falling apart. After the kidnapping, the criminals attempted to contact authorities with ransom demands, but the phone lines were constantly overwhelmed. Parents, reporters, police, the entire town was in chaos. According to some reports, the kidnappers became exhausted after the lengthy operation and eventually left to rest while trying to figure out what to do next. And while they panicked outside, something remarkable was happening underground. The people trapped inside began fighting for survival. Despite the fear and exhaustion, Ed Ray tried to remain calm. Years later, many of the children would say that if he had panicked, the situation could have turned into complete chaos. He spoke to the children, comforted them, and focused on finding a way out. Eventually, he noticed something important. There was a hatch in the ceiling of the trailer, but there was a problem. Outside, the hatch was pinned down by 2 massive industrial batteries and layers of dirt. At first, it seemed impossible to move, but they had no choice. And this is where the story becomes almost unbelievable. 14-year-old Michael Marshall, along with Ed Ray and several older boys, began trying to push the heavy objects aside. Still, little by little, they managed to shift one of the batteries. It took a very long time. Sand poured down from above. Metal groaned under pressure. The children were barely holding on physically. Then suddenly the structure shifted, and for the first time in hours, light appeared above them. Real daylight. Many of the children later said they would never forget that moment. After hours in total darkness, they saw the sky again. Ed Ray helped the children climb out one by one. Some were so exhausted they could barely stand. But the most important thing was this: every single child survived, all 26 of them. Even today, that outcome feels almost impossible. Once they reached help, the story instantly became national news. The idea that kidnapped children had escaped from an underground trailer captured the attention of the entire country. People could hardly believe it, especially after learning how carefully the entire crime had been organized. Investigators quickly identified the suspects. Fred Woods and his accomplices came from wealthy families. That detail shocked the public even more. People usually associated crimes like this with hardened criminals. But this case was different. The kidnappers had money, education, and opportunities. And still, they chose to carry out a mass kidnapping of children. During the trial, even more strange details emerged. The kidnappers had written down the children's names and ages on Jack in the Box burger wrappers so they wouldn't lose track of them. They rented excavation equipment ahead of time. They purchased materials gradually to avoid suspicion. This was not an impulsive act. They spent months building this plan, but the hardest part began after the rescue. Many of the children suffered serious psychological trauma. Some feared darkness for years. Others struggled to be inside enclosed spaces. Several later developed severe anxiety and symptoms associated with post-traumatic stress. And honestly, that's not surprising, because surviving something like this as a child means never forgetting the feeling of being trapped underground without knowing whether morning would ever come. Ed Ray later became a hero to many people, not only because he helped the children escape, but because he stayed calm until the very end. At the worst possible moment, that calmness saved lives. Today, the Chowchilla Kidnapping is still considered one of the strangest crimes of the 20th century. Because of its scale, because of the bizarre plan, and because of its almost unbelievable ending. Stories like this rarely end the way this one did. But somehow, the children survived. And if you really think about it, they weren't saved by luck alone. They survived because even in complete darkness, someone kept searching for a way out.